Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today I'm excited because we have the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 10. So what we've added is a new analog tab for genres that are not just hard and punchy like trap and hip hop. So I'm going to go through this new tab to show you guys what it's all about. And we've added new visuals for you guys on the clipper mode. So if you guys go to the clipper, you can now see that. We also have rearrangeable signal flow for people who want to, adjust the signal flow for different genres. So for those who aren't familiar with the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 10, this comes with 1,500 minutes of mastering at oneclickmastering.com. So if you don't want to load up a DAW or you're just on the road, you could just quickly upload a song straight to the website and get the same exact response. Now we're still uploading the backend for the analog features there, but you have version 9's engine behind the scenes at oneclickmastering.com. All right, so that's just a bonus for anybody who grabs it. So busyworksbeats.com/AI mastering is the link. So now what we're going to do is go through different genres of music and show you guys how I would approach it. Again, for people who are not familiar, you click the auto master button and it's one-click mastering. It will read your song. It will look for the headroom. It will create headroom and it will run the processes. Okay, so let's just hit auto master. That's a little loud for me. Okay, so that's why I want to focus on this newer approach that we have with the analog. So what we can do is just turn down the input. So here's before. Here's after. So let's say the sound is too full for you. So again, this plugin is meant to be loud, full, and upfront. So we've added a newer, nuanced way to approach this. So let's go to the preset, go to initialize. Let's start off with the analog tab. I'll show you guys how to get pretty nuanced sound without overkill. What we're gonna do is go to the analog tab, turn on the summing console, okay? Summing mixer. So let's turn this on. And what it will do is create this like very small left and right adjustment to where it sounds more filled and we perceive depth this way. Okay, so it's very subtle. I'm going to turn this on and off. It's very subtle, but it fills out that little gap between the left and the right ear. Also, if the sound is a little too aggressive going in, you can go to the shape area and turn off the converter going in because this adds a lot of color. So from here, what I'd normally do is go to the compressor area, turn on compressor 1, and then turn up the blend and the amount. So I'm trying to preserve the original idea. I'm not trying to overkill it with too much loudness. Okay, so that's the tricky part, is if the song is already like loud or where it needs to be sonically, in terms of like positions and everything, we want to be very subtle. So next, let's add an expander and the transient. And this is already post the analog tab. We can also just drag this to the very end. For R&B, this is really good. A little bit softer going into the limiter instead of going through the clipper stage. So again, here's before. Here's after. So we can see it's a very subtle genre to where we can't overkill it. Let's try adding some upward expansion here. Upward compression of it. Here's before. So let's say it's a little too heavy. We can go over to the width area and up the clarity. We can also give it some mono compatibility and then some dimensionality is what I like to do most of the time. So I keep my dimension at 10, mono compatibility at around 30. For heavier mix like this, you can turn up the clarity. Here's after. Let's also turn on the stereo Haas effect. So it gives it more like a Drake style mix to the bass. Here's before. Here's after. So it opens up without being overly loud. Now, if we wanted to push loudness, I would recommend you guys turn on the loudness ladder and just turn up the clean gain. There's different stages of gain, so we're going to turn up the clean gain. So again, we don't want to push it too aggressively because then it loses that like introspective sound. I'd say right there is probably the best spot. And then we could add some envelope shaping. We're going to turn this up. This is experimental for this track, but let's just pull the shape back. It's going to add a little more fill, dimensionality, I'll say. If we want more movement, we can go to the compressor mode, add some Berry Mu. So let's say the snare is too loud or the clap. We can turn up the clean knob, and this will adjust the harsh areas to where it's not harsh anymore. Here's before. Here's after. We definitely get a fuller, louder, brighter image. Without losing the feeling of the original track. So that's what the analog area is all about. It's about how do we preserve the feeling of a track without just feeling like it's going through mastering. So that was the tricky part for version 10. Now let's move to this next track here. This is a melody. And this is more of an EDM style. So let's go to initialize. So I'm showing you guys how to use this plugin in different ways. You could use this on drums, vocals, bass, full tracks. So I have to show you different ways to use it. It's not just make stuff louder, you know, I mean, that can be done, but that's not the only purpose for it. So first, let's just hit Auto Master to see what this sounds like. Now it's gonna be loud, so we're gonna turn it down. So it's reading the track and all the frequencies. So here's the Auto Master. Now because it's smoother, we can get away with more processing. So in this case, it does feel nice and full. I'm going to experiment with the punch knob, however. So there's 7 macros on the front. These determine pretty much all the knobs on the back end. So all that twisting the knob stuff, you guys really don't have to do that. That was me just showing you the nuance of the newer version. But if you guys want to make it a little bit easier on yourself, there's 7 knobs here at the bottom, and you just turn these up. I'll describe these real quick. Clean takes care of the high frequencies and the harshness. And it sounds transparent. It doesn't sound overly like filtering to where it sounds like a hand over your mouth type thing. The bass area is just that, it adds bass, but it doesn't just add bass, it shapes the bass that you already have. Okay, it shifts the harmonic structure for it. The loudness is just like that, it makes stuff loud. You can crank that. Usually I keep it at 70 at the max. Going past 70 is like, unless you're doing something crazy with that. The wide knob, I usually stick around the 30 range for this one. And wide widens the track. So let me show you guys. This we can get away with a lot of width because it's just a melody. It doesn't have much else. The punch is the dynamic. It's the feeling, the ups and downs of the track. So I'm gonna turn these up. Now it's a little more aggressive than I expected with that pluck. So it is a little bitey. So 30 actually, or 35, wherever it was before, 32 is actually a good spot for this track. So sometimes the AI knows better targets than we do because it's measuring peaks that we can't even see. All right, now the mid focus is just usually when you have vocals in a track, this is going to pull those vocals forward, or anything that's in the mid section like a violin, something like that. Or it just adds this extra brightness. So when we need it. And the turbo knob is adds dimensionality. So it's more of a sustained sound, whereas punch is more of a up and down transient sound. Turbo is more of a sustained sound. So let's combine all these. Now again, these macros control all the stuff on the back end so that we don't have to tweak these parameters at the perfect ratio. I've already done that for you guys. So here's before. Here's after. There's vocals in here, so let's see when the vocals come in. Here's before. Now it's a little heavy. I normally wouldn't push the levels this high, but let's pull it back just a little bit. So here's before. Here's after. So this is great for sample makers, loop makers. So let's say the vocal's too sharp, we could turn up that clean knob. And here's before, here's after. So perfect for Reese, ambient, you know, EDM styles. So I'm showing you guys how to use this plugin for different genres, different approaches, and we don't always have to use presets. I do have presets built for you guys. I even have a 90s preset, so you don't have to worry about trying to figure out the nuances of the older music that's not meant to be super loud. It's meant to be dynamic. So here is a track we made. So we've added a new transformer section, and it gives you different, basically this transformer focuses more on the transient, and it makes stuff hit a little bit heavier in the low end area. So let's do this one from scratch. Let's add the clipper first. So let's drag the clipper all the way to the left. And we're gonna put that first in the chain just to get the kick down, because we can see the kick visually is super heavy. Let's go to the new clipper area, and now you guys can visually see the transfer curve there. And there's different clip modes as well. So Smart is going to give us the bright sound for this track, but Punch reshapes that kick to make it a little more punchy than just what it is now, which is not a punchy kick. But we're sacrificing some of the brightness on this, which we can add back in the EQ. So here's before, here's after. So we're keeping the same intent, but just giving it the things we need. So that kick initially was a little more flat, less shapely. Now we're going to go to the transformer. I'm going to actually turn off the clipper to hear what this transformer sounds like by itself. Now this is going to be a very aggressive transformer, and let me see here. Actually, let's go to the chain here. Let's put the transformer stage before the clipper. Let's turn the clipper back on. I just want to see what this combo sounds like. Here's before. Now it's like, but it adds a little more crunch on the transient. It is a little bit of a darker sound, however. So we also have easy ways you guys can gain stage into this. If you turn the link on, you could turn up or down the input. That way you can gain stage per module. So if you want a more aggressive sound, you can push into that transformer. This is way too aggressive, but I'm just trying to let you guys hear the sound. Here's before. Here's after. Definitely darker though. But it has that ripply thing without making the kick fall apart. Now I wouldn't push the sound that hard. Let's mess with the drive instead of just the clean input. Now we can hear that explosive kick sound. Now it's like. Now I wouldn't, again, go this hard for this track. I'm just showing you guys a little stuff. Because this kick is a little more difficult. It's not as pointy as normal kicks. So if you guys do want crunch, that's not crunchy per se, like flat crunch, you could use that transformer. But let's use the mixing summing. only way I can describe this is it feels like the song goes from like a sheet of paper to now like a box of a sheet of paper, if that makes sense. It adds this little depth. Okay, so it's very, very, very subtle. It makes it sound like going from 2D to 3D is what I meant to say there. That also has its own drive as well. You want to push the saturation of it. But really we're doing the crosstalk element of that. And there's different styles here. Let's see which saturation style sounds the best. So even pushing it aggressively, we can hear it doesn't fall apart. So let's turn that on. And then again, we can go into the entire analog chain with the input here. Make sure that's linked. We also have new tube modes. A triode is going to be a very aggressive sound, whereas pentode is more of a musical. It adds fifths to your track. So let's see what this track might not work with this much saturation on it. It's already saturated. But you guys can feel that saturation. Just showing you guys the different things we have in here. We also have a tape mode. Now this track is again very aggressive. I'm pretty sure it's already, it's just not leveled right. So anyway, let's go to the dynamic area, add the expander to reshape that kick. Or let me show you guys actually, let's initialize this. We're gonna go to the front tab. And if you guys turn up punch, it's gonna fix it for you. See how the kick feels like a kick now? It doesn't feel like a flat thing. That's because the Varimu that we've added and the dynamic controls are help shaping that kick sound like from a flat kick that it was, saturated flat kick, to more of a jumpier kick. Now let's go to the analog tab, add that summing, add that dimensionality, that little brightness here. I'm curious what the settings will do. Let's hit Auto Master just to see what it does with the headroom. So I definitely went for super loudness here. We're going to turn it down, however. That's why I said this plugin can do so much with different things. Depends on what we're trying to do. So here's before. Definitely made a boring mix sound exciting. So that was that. Now let's move over to this Houston style track. Now this one is tricky because with the Roland TR-808 drums that are on this track, we don't want to just overly slam them into clippers and limiters, because that will just crush the whole drum sound itself. So that's why we've added this new analog area. So I'll show you guys how I would use it. Let's turn on the summing first. Here's before. And from here I have to decide if we want the converter under the shape. Let's turn off the converter for now. Let's turn up what's called the British console. It's gonna add a little more depth. And let's go to the analog tab here. I meant to say the excite tab, and let's turn up the transformer just a little bit. So we have different modes: tape, transformer, solid state. Just gonna turn up the drive just a little bit. Just add a little more movement. Let's add some mono compatibility. A little dimension here at 10. But now let's go back to the analog mode and turn on the tape. And it's like the drums jump out the mix. So let me go back. Here's before. Here's after the tape. It's like the track comes alive without overly just slamming, like I said. So for older genres like classic hip hop, 80s, 90s era, this is why we've added the analog area, because it just deals with audio in a different way instead of just focusing only on loudness. We can even mess with the summing width to add a little more clarity of the elements. See what happens if we widen this track. And the trick is we don't want the width to overtake the mono position, because then it won't sound as dynamic. But now we have a nice full sound without doing too much. Here's before. Here's after. Now if we want to take it further, we can add some dynamics. And we have that like SSL style snap on it. So we can always add compressors like this to widen out this track. See, now it just feels like full, flat, but dense at the same time. Here's before. And by flat, I mean linear and not like. Here's after. I'm gonna add a little EQ. I don't think this track really needs it though. Before. After. And then we can push into the limiters as the final stage. If we want more aggressive sound. This probably as hard as I would push this track. So again, here's before. Let me run it back. Here's before. Here's after. And we can add the gain on the output or the input. Let's try the input gain. That's gonna be crunchier though. So I say the output gives us less dynamic, pushing the input gives us more dynamic. A little more saturation. And remember, we can rearrange the signal flow, so if we want a cleaner sound, we could add the dynamic last. I kind of like the crunchier, so let's pull it before the clipper. See how it just adds that element that we didn't even know we could add to our tracks. So now I'm going to move a little bit quicker because there's a lot of tracks to get through. And the 21 Savage track, you guys have heard this a million times, but this is the track that shaped this entire plugin. I listened to this track for 4 months straight, trying to figure out ways to make it just an inch better every single time. And that's how we're on version 10 of the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 10. So you guys can find this at busyworksbeats.com/AI Mastering, and you can get a 7-day free trial. All right, so to get started, but let's run it on this 21 Savage track. Run it. And let me make sure everything's routed. Hold on, guys. So for this track, we're going for just intensity, loudness, because it's a trap track. We can really push the sound. So I've made a preset that just works. It's called the where'd I put it? Mastering 2026. So I've added more presets, so these are in the way. But for you guys, just click Mastering 2026. Now this will be loud, so I recommend you turn it down first and then push into it. So let's hear what it sounds like. Here's before. Here's after. And we can push into this even more aggressively if we wanted to. Let's push just to show you guys how loud this can be. See how that bass just fills out? So again, here's before. Here's after. So this is great for music producers, even people who do full songs, artists. We have used this to mix vocals as well. Here's before. Now for a track like this, I probably wouldn't mess with the analog tab. Maybe if anything, the summing mixer, but we don't want to stack too many elements of saturation because it could just get overwhelmingly cluttered. But let's just try to see what this sounds like. This might add that extra little, 0.5% that takes it up. Tricky part here is leveling into it. So let's turn the input down so it doesn't just slam through it. And this is the first stage here, so actually no, I'm wrong. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th stage. Let's A-B to see if it does anything for this track. It does make the stereo image a little bit smaller because we've already widened the stereo image earlier in the chain. So adding this now on the tail end is making it more narrow. But it does add this little bit of depth. But the trade-off though is the width, so that's the tricky part. And it definitely does something for the kick. This is how I would add it into the chain. See what happens if we turn up the output. So for that comparison, I would have to compare it against the preset to see which one is better. But you guys have heard that song a million times. Now let's move to a different track. Now some of these are already mastered tracks, so we got to figure out how to make them better. I'm pretty sure this is mastered.
Bitch, I'm riding hard like I'm in a tank.
So let's start with the analog tab to make more subtle moves.
Bitch, I'm riding hard like I'm in a tank.
That's
Put a million in a bank, coulda get a ring. Bit of round in a rank, had to up the rank. 40 on me in a tank, he don't need a thing. Lamborghini with the drop, I don't even rock. Put a million off the top like I'm Chris Rock. Try to bitch a lot of rock, we was getting hot. Put a million in a tank, shoulda bought a rock. Bitch down here rock, coulda bought a rock. 100 in a fence, down here you can rock.
So there's a demo where it's like mumbling for the rap.
Bitch, I'm riding hard like I'm in a tank.
Before.
Put a million in a bank, coulda get a ring. Bit of round in a rank, had to up the rank. 40 on me in a tank, he don't need a thing. Lamborghini with the drop, I don't even rock. Quarter million off the top like I'm Chris Rock. Try to bitch a lot of rock, we was getting hot. Quarter million in a tank, shoulda bought a rock. Bitch down here rock, coulda bought a rock. 100 in a fence, down here you can run it up. Yeah,
right, dimensionality.
Clock 40 on it, shouldn't with a hell, yeah, hit a knot. Ready on the right here right now. Should have been harder, hit a pipe down. Gotta run a hit him hard here right there. Put the round and hit a pipe down. Should have been a town chain.
After.
But the brand could have went and bought a new chain.
That mid focus bring up the vocal.
Off the Hussein.
So because the vocals are a little bit darker, let's pull up the mid focus that will pull that vocal a little more forward in the mix, so we don't have to like get stems.
Yeah. He can grab the Glock 40 on him. Shouldn't really hit a knot. Ready on the right here right now. Should have been harder, hit a pipe down. Gotta run a hit him hard here right there. Put the round and hit a pipe down. Should have been a town chain. But the brand could have went and bought a new chain. Just getting right off the Hussein. Kind of down off the roof thing. Right down on the ground, the Hussein.
If I didn't mention, you guys can also reference on different monitors. So for example, your phone, your earbuds. We can turn this up. We can hear the frequencies that stand out more on these devices.
He can grab the Glock 40 on him. Shouldn't really hit a knot.
Even phone speaker.
Ready on the right here right now.
Car speaker.
Harder, hit a pipe down. Gotta run a hit him hard here right there.
Different streaming platforms.
Hit a pipe down. Should have been a town chain. But the brand could have went and bought a new chain. Just getting right off the Hussein. Kind of down off the roof thing. But down
we can even do MP3 preview.
I'm really sort of Hussein.
To hear the artifact loss.
He can grab the Glock 40 on him. Shouldn't really hit a knot. Ready on the right here right now.
So just reference tools for you guys.
He can grab the Glock 40 on him. Shouldn't really hit a knot. Ready on the right here right now. Should have been harder, hit a pipe down. Gotta run a hit him hard here right there. Put the round and hit a pipe down. Should have been a town chain. But the brand could have went and bought a new chain. Just getting right off the Hussein. Kind of down off the roof thing. But down on the ground, the Hussein.
Here's before.
I'm really sort of Hussein. Fuck is you saying? I'm in the
after.
I be riding high, couldn't even bend. $250,000 off the red, couldn't even spend. We was riding in the bin, hella getting bent. 40 on the laser, get in, just in case it rains. I been riding through the city in the Lamborghini.
So here's before. After. Some a little more full sounding. It just makes the sound jump out the speaker instead of just staying. And remember, this is probably an already mastered track anyway, or pushed heavily. So I'm just showing you guys, you can apply this to stuff that you already processed heavily. Now let's run it through this Dr. Dre thing. We're gonna hit auto master for this one though. After. And for a mix like this, let's pull the dynamic last. Keep the track a little more open. See what the mixer is going to do. Doesn't have much for this track. Let's try the tape. Here's before. After. So add some mono compatibility in here. Just a little more dimensionality. It's a little more British console, less converter. Makes it a little bit cleaner. Here's before. showing you guys, we can make pretty much any track jump out the speakers. Now here's a track that isn't even really mixed well. Let's see if we can. So first, it needs to clean up. Yeah. Let's just turn these 7 macros here.
After, but I'ma get down. Nothing other way it came from. That's just how it happened. So I'ma get down. Ain't it around, and it's all principle sound. Been going down. They ain't been fucking around.
After.
It's been going down.
Now the 808, I would normally add tape saturation, but the 808 is probably gonna drive too heavily into it. But that would be the next thing I would add for something like this.
And it's all principle sound. Been going down. They ain't been fucking around. It's been going down.
Alright, so that track was like a really, really rough demo.
And it's all principle sound. Been going down. They ain't been fucking around.
Let's see what happens if you push the input.
And it's all principle sound. Been going down. They ain't been fucking around. It's been going down.
Now I don't think we need to make it louder, but let's just see what the loud knob
And it's
does.
all principle sound. Been going down. They ain't been fucking around. It's been going down.
Here's before. After.
The morning after, but I'ma get down.
Before.
Another way it came from. That's just how it
After.
happened.
So a little more
I'ma
clarity.
get down. Ain't it around, and it's all principle sound. Been going down. They ain't been fucking around. It's been going down.
Here's before. Here's after. Definitely sounds more full. More like a real record.
The morning after, but I'ma get down. Nothing other way it came from. That's just how it happened. So I'ma get down. Ain't it around, and it's all principle sound. Been going down. They ain't been fucking around. It's been going down.
So even on a rough mix, we can still pull out better qualities of the sound. All right, now let's add this hip hop track here. I'm gonna just turn knobs here. We don't need to auto master everything. Actually, let's do this first just to see where the headroom, how much headroom it gives us. Here's before. Turns this beat into a whole different thing. So I'm going to have the plugin read it during when the bass is hitting, because right now it didn't read it during its loudest. So let's find that bass. So now it knows that the bass is there. So pull back the levels a little bit because of that bass. So if I turn this tape on, it really grabs everything. This track is already like balanced in the lows. It doesn't need that extra warm low. So for this track, that's a little overkill for what we're doing. But it adds like this sheet of low warmth on the track. We just don't need that much low for this track. Again, if you want clearer beats or clearer mixes, turn up this clarity. So when you guys are just, turning knobs, I recommend you guys turn the punch knob and the turbo knob to hear the difference between a transient focus and a sustained focus. Again, here's before. Here's after. Now, because I didn't realize it would take this long to get through that many tracks, let's start moving into the older music so I can show you guys some of the newer modules and why they're important. So for 90s stuff like this, we're not going to slam everything because it's a very frail structure anyhow with the sounds. We're focused more on lifting that reverb tail than trying to slam the loud knob. Which this does sound good, just turning up the loudness for this track because of that snare.
Midnight creeping.
So just one knob. Here's before. Let's go to the analog tab here.
Caught a rhythm in the street. Drums and string.
It's like the drums just go poof, poof. They just grip your ear way more with this tape saturation on. I'm gonna push until I hear. I'm gonna push the tape saturation until I hear the crunch, and then dial back the output. You hear it in the kick. Adds a lot more low end on that kick. It's a little clean here. It's a little bright.
Midnight creeping.
Here's before.
Number on my phone, but I'm wasting time.
Is after.
Caught a
mess with the summing console
in the street. Drums and string beneath my feet, and I know you feel the same. We've been dancing through this flame.
Give it some mono compatibility.
Down is something I can hide. Take my hand and let's decide. Ooh, girl, you got me spinning round and round. Every time I see you moving on that round. Ooh, girl, wanna take you to the moon. Dancing underneath the silver afternoon.
See how we have to be a little more gentle with this track. Here's another trick for 90s and 80s stuff. Grab the dynamic module, pull it to the end of the chain. That usually creates the cleanest shaping of the transient, so that they're not colored by the saturators and clippers. So again, here's before. Here's after. We didn't even add dynamic yet.
Midnight creeping through the blinds.
Here's before.
Your number on my phone, but I'm wasting time.
Let's add some dynamic.
Caught a rhythm in the street. Drums and string beneath my feet, and I know you feel the same. We've been dancing through this flame. Silent crystal, break the spell. Heart is ringing like a bell. Down is something I can hide. Take my hand and let's decide. Ooh, girl, you got me spinning round and round.
Before.
Every time I see you moving on that round. Ooh, girl, wanna take you to the moon. Dancing underneath the silver afternoon.
Before. before.
Your soul, like guitar and wooden beat, moving slowly through the heat. Sliding across, don't break the spell. Heart is ringing.
I'm gonna add a little side compression here.
Tell me something I can hide. Take my hand and let's decide. Ooh, girl, got me spinning round and round. Every time I see you moving on that ground.
Let's also mess with the width here.
Ooh, girl, wanna take you to the moon, dancing underneath the silver afternoon. Can we make this moment stay forever? Bodies swaying.
Now, here's where the loudness gets overwhelming is when the bass and the kicks hit. It starts to sound more like blubber than a punch because of the kicks they used back then. So this is where the older genres fight against the loudness techniques that we like to use. So I'm going to pull back the loud now.
Like guitar and wooden beat, moving slowly through the heat. Sliding across, don't break the spell. Heart is ringing like a bell. Tell me something I can hide. Take my hand and let's decide.
Here's before.
Ooh, girl, got me the heat.
Before.
Sliding across, don't break the spell. Heart is ringing like a bell.
After.
Tell me something I can hide. Take my hand and let's decide. Ooh, girl, got me spinning round and round. Every time I see you moving on that ground. Ooh, girl, wanna take you to the moon, dancing underneath the silver afternoon. Can we make this moment stay forever? Bodies swaying in the summer weather. You and me against the fading light.
So here's before.
Holding on until the morning bright. Ooh, girl, got
After.
me spinning round and round. Every time I see you moving on that ground.
Before.
Ooh, girl, wanna take you to the moon.
After.
Dancing underneath the silver afternoon.
Let's go to a different track. I just wanted to show you guys though, it's a different approach with the 90s stuff, and I've created a preset for you guys so you don't have to keep like knowing everything about that. So we're just going to go to where it says mastering 90s R&B 1. I'll probably clean these up for you guys, but this one's the one you guys want to focus on. There's different versions of it. So this one's going to give you guys depth to the song. So again, I built these around, these are AI samples we're listening to.
I've been watching you from across the room.
Here's before.
Got the vibe I can't ignore.
Here's after. See how it takes like the AI thing or the MP3 thing and it just makes it sound like you're in the studio. Here's before.
I've been watching you from across the room.
Here's after.
Got the vibe I can't ignore. Standing close in these leather boots, wondering what you're waiting for. The way you move got me losing time. Then hit me deep inside. Baby, just give me a sign that the music be alright. Slide on over, let me show you how we do. Back in the day, kinda groove that pulls you through.
It's like a real track. Here's before.
Slide on over, let me take you for a ride.
The original feels thin. Here's after.
Nothing feels better than having you by my side. Oh, baby, yeah.
So it works on pretty much every 90s track, especially if it's very dynamic like that one. Here's another track. Here's the before.
And you wore that smile.
Here's after.
Told my boys I gotta know your name. Heart get like the drum for a little while.
Watch as I turn it off. It feels like the energy is just gone. Here's after. Here's before. After. Here's before. See how it just adds so much filling to the track? So even those type of tracks we can fix. Now let's go to another R&B track. Here's before. Here's after. Every track doesn't need the clean knob all the way up, so let's pull this back for more dynamic. Before. Watch when I turn it off. It just sounds like it's just vocals and a snare. It's like we can't even feel the track anymore. Now here's with it on. So you guys can hear how it's taking this AI song and making it feel like a real song. Crazy. Look, guys, we took an AI track and made it sound like a radio release. That's insane what we could do with this. Now, some people think this adds a stamp to your song. It does not add a stamp to your song. The AI part of this plugin is how it's reading your audio of your track to adjust these macros for you guys. This is DSP the same way Ozone has DSP Master Plan. Any other plugin you guys may use, it runs off of DSP. It doesn't use neural networks to process. It doesn't generate AI stuff. Okay, so the only thing it does in terms of AI-ness is read your track and adjust these knobs and basically guide your track into the plugin. That's what the AI part of the plugin is doing. So it doesn't add some stamp to your track. I want to get out that out the way because some people asked about that. So here's another track. We got to move faster through these tracks because we have so many. So again, we're gonna have to just use the preset here, save time.
Build
This track, the actual track itself is a little more mono based, okay? But I would turn off the clean knob. We don't need the clean knob every single time, because if you want to add dynamics, you want the clean knob turned down. Let's see what it does to this track. Here's before. Here's before.
Don't break the spell, yeah. Standing midnight till the sunrise. Slide like water through the roof. Standing midnight, no disguises. Watch me shimmer, watch me move.
When you hear the before, it almost sounds like paper. Here's before. Here's after. So again, you guys can get your 7-day free trial at busyworksbeats.com/AI mastering. Let's move into another track here. So I'm just going to play the songs instead of describing everything. We're pretty much using the same preset and just tweaking the clean knob, if anything. Here's before. After. It's like we're getting entranced by the song. You can actually feel the movement. So it turned it, from sounding like just an AI sample to like a roller rink type track. So again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 left, and then we'll go into some rock samples from Suno. These are from Trebolo that you guys are hearing right now. Here's the before. Here's the after. Here's before. It's crazy how this plugin literally just adds life to every style song. Let's see the last two. Let's do maybe 2 more because this has a different style singer on it. Let's skip that one because it's a woman singing.
Windows down.
I think it's this one. Let's try this one.
It's
a little bit slower of a beat. Here's the before.
Maybe we could chase the sun down just a little further south. Golden horizon, we're sailing out on borrowed time. Golden horizon, leave the anchors and the dock behind. Captain's hat and a cooler full of cheap wine, tangled up in the cockpit line. He laughed and said the compass light, but
Here's
I'll
before.
follow you anywhere the tide decides. And I know we're not getting any younger, but the water makes us slow. Golden horizon, we're sailing out on borrowed time. Golden horizon, leave the anchors and the dock behind. Ooh, the sunset cuts her down.
See how it feels like a real track? Here's before. Here's after. I'll probably turn the output down a little bit. Crazy what we could do with this plugin. You guys, this is on version 10 and I'm still trying to find ways to make it even better. So let's go to this Kanye style track. This is from Suno, however, so the quality is going to be very, very different. It's going to be way noisier from Suno, and that's why we built that clean knob for you guys.
Shooting stars, where you are. Supernatural feeling, sexual healing. Shooting stars, where you are. Shooting stars, where you are.
So for the clean knob, let's say it needs more aggression. So especially Suno needs way more cleanup. We could switch the DS mode to aggressive or extreme mode. Okay, so that it just goes a little bit harder, and we could change the range of how it handles those resonances as well. So let's put the DSing on the highest mode.
Shooting stars, where you are. Shooting stars, where you are.
So it can't take the noise out of the sample, but it removes the harshness from the noise. Okay, so Suno's known for that heavily resonant, noisy sharpness. So we're pulling that aggressive, ear-piercing thing out of it so that it can still be loud and noisy. We can't remove the noise in the sample, however.
Healing.
Here's before. Here's after. I'm curious if this track will benefit from the analog circuitry. Let's try it on it. Now first, I'm going to turn the clean knob all the way up and go to our shape tool and make sure it's on the highest mode for de-essing for this specific track. You're going to open the threshold to hear the brightness and then pull it back. I usually keep a range of 10 when I'm trying to be aggressive on the de-essing, and then pull back the range. In this case, 6 worked, plus 6. We're going to turn off the converter. Let's see what the tape does. So tape definitely adds more low end. And more low end might actually help the track sound less sharp because now we're changing the focus of the frequencies. Let's see how we can use this one. So I'm going to manually dial in some stuff here. Let's turn the punch knob up. But because Suno generates with a noisier vocal in this case, turning up the mid focus can pull the vocal back. But again, because we suppressed the noise, it pushed down the expression of that vocal because of the way it generated the audio. So basically, we're going to compensate it back by adding more resonance of the sound and less noise. Here's before. Here's after. Here's before. After. So let's see if that mix works on this next Kanye sample because it's from the same AI generator Suno and it's in the same style. So let's see if these same settings work on this style track. Here's the before. I'll say this one's cleaner so far. Here's after. Here's before. See how it took all the harshness out the sample and it just made it sound full and full of energy. Let me go towards the end of the track so you guys can hear the difference. Here's before. Just very tinny and metallic sounding. Like it sounds very metallic. Here's after. That's crazy how we made that track go from sounding like AI slop to AI bop. So if you guys want this plugin, go to busyworksbeats.com/AI mastering. Start your 7-day free trial. Look for version 10. We're on version 10 now. All right, guys. So subscribe if you're new. It's a game from busyworksbeats.com. Peace out, guys.